You know what I'm tired of? Scrolling through Twitter, never calling it X, and seeing one of those "what hot takes will put you in this situation" or something like that. It happens like every other day. And the worst part is not that people fall for debate every single time, but when people give their awful hot takes, it starts endless wars. Like, isn't the whole point of a hot take that is something most people don't agree with? Then why are you surprised when people have takes that most people don't agree with? And you know what? I'm done with this. It's time for someone to be brave enough to see through countless hot takes and find the reasoning behind the madness. And that someone is me. So that's why I asked Twitter what is their hottest, most crazy Kirby take they ever had. And now it's my job to defend their takes no matter what. An easy example, let's look at our first Kirby hot take. Wheel Rider is mad! God damn it. Wheelie Rider, what a bum ass ability, if you can even call it like that. Only really appearing in 2 games, and every other appearance is just people using wheels and motorcycles. Not to mention, it was going to come back for Kirby GCN, but because it was so mid, it never officially came back, not even in Star Allies. Aye, now one hurts. But at least you should have a better idea of what we are doing today. So without any further explanations, let's begin! Oh wait, let me put this real quick. Okay, now we go. DDD deserves to be upgraded from a will-take one-day anti-hero to a full-time mischievous good guy. DDD has been in this weird middle ground ever since Kirby 64, where he stopped being Kirby's antagonist, but never became his bestie to say the least. Superstar Ultra showed us one final fight with Kirby to end their rivalry, but that didn't stop Hal to keep making DDD the antagonist in some spin-offs, and then he doesn't do much until the climax of Forgotten Land. It would be nice seeing more DDD's personality as his newer good guy version we see in Forgotten Land, but still keeping some goofiness or some small rivalry with Kirby like in a gourmet race. DDD is such a cool and interesting character that I would love to see more of him, so come on Hal, stop this anti-hero thing and make my boy happy. Kirby's best cast is actually the best enemies slash helpers in the games, and I think more spin-offs should try and do stuff with the enemies instead of Kirby's and main cast. The enemies are so cool. You have guys like Knuckle Joe, Sir Kibble, Brontoburst, Fire Leo, Bonkers, Gordos, and of course, the Waddle Dees, which, might I remind you, the second most popular Kirby character is not Meta Knight or King Dedede or even Mauler, but some random ass Waddle Dee. They are everywhere in merchandise, but they rarely do anything with them despite how original and interesting they can be. Look at something like Kirby's Avalanche, where they gave them more personality to these characters. And let's be honest, as much as we love Kirby, only having different colored Kirbys as playable characters is kinda lame. Hey, if Mario can do it, so can Kirby, so give these other guys a chance. Metal was fine, not amazing, but certainly better than a lot of other abilities like Needle or Cupid. Look at my face and tell me what is better than being completely invincible. And it's not like Archer or Leaf when you have a move that makes you intangible. We're talking just full on, not giving a single f***. Look at Kirby, no thoughts in his head, just pure destruction. And when they scroll you can roll down ledges. Sonic? He is nothing compared to this level of momentum. Metal is not only the ultimate ability for defense, but also offense. Look how easy I can take down Dark Darrow. Look how easy I can take down DDD. You will never see this level of performance from abilities like Needle or Cupid, now will you? Kirby Fighters 2 is the best Kirby game because it's the only one that can camp out people with Maul Rain. Bro, put this game on Evo, look at this insane level of play, my opponent is having so much fun. Waddle Dees team being enemies in modern games makes no sense, like in Triple Locks when you are trying to save Dedede, their king, or even Toon Dreamland where you can play as Dedede and still kill some Waddle Dees. Waddle Dees have lost all the motivation to be enemies for a long time. Just like the Goombas, Waddle Dees are the main meaning of the antagonist of the game, in this case Dedede. But like how I mentioned it before, they stopped being the antagonist for a long time. So why are we still fighting Waddle Dees in games like Squid Squad, Return Dreamland, Triple Locks, Planet Robot, Star Allies? It feels like they're just here for nostalgic purposes or for merch. Thankfully, Forgotten Land and Merry Magoland makes them NPCs. I would much rather see them going in this direction. It might also give them a reason to create other interesting and unique enemies like the Beast Pack. Overall, making Waddle Dees NPCs over enemies would benefit the series greatly. Peribit isn't that bad, I'll just put them out. Skill issue, honestly. If you were a true gamer, you can beat this boss very easily. And the whole, how much time he takes in the background, like God forbid we have bosses that don't just sit there waiting for you to spam the attack button. If anything, Peribit might be peak boss design as it takes factors like a 3D display for unique moves and teaches you about predicting the boss's attack to maximize damage. If you don't like this fight, then you simply suck or are very impatient. But on God, that sounds like a you issue, not gonna lie, for real. Heroes in Another Dimension and Dream Friends do not save Star Allies. I always see people call Base Star Allies one of the worst Kirby games ever, but then go on to say the updates made it one of the best. And are we even playing the same game? Heroes in Another Dimension and the Dream Friends might be super fun on their own, but they don't fix any of the core issues of the game. The level design is still pretty nothing, the game is still too easy, the story is not well told, the allies mechanics still drastically change how you experience the game, so if you didn't like Star Allies before, the updates do nothing to change that fact. I think Nightmare in Dreamland is better than Kirby's Adventure. The physics and movement in Nightmare in Dreamland alone makes it better. Adventure handles momentum in very weird ways and some abilities are just so slow and clunky. Not to mention the terrible lag that makes Adventure a hard game to come back to. All that is fixed in the remake. The controls are buttery smooth and there's no lag to be seen. But it's not just that. The game also has beautiful sprite work that much better represent the characters. These sprites are so beautiful, in fact, they will be reused for 2 more games after this one. The backgrounds are also gorgeous in their own right. And that music has classic Game Boy Advance sound that makes it so charming. It also has a bunch of other additions that make the game more complete, like the Meta Nightmare mode, which was the first time you could play as Meta Knight in a 2D platformer game. And also this mode would then go on to appear in many ways throughout the series. Overall, Nightmare in Dreamland is both a really important game in the series and a great remake that not only improves on the issues of the original, but gives it its own unique spin. Meta Knight should be the main character. Meta Knight is that guy. He has the coolest ship in the universe, is super strong, and is overall a cool guy. Not to mention, he's one of the most interesting characters we have. We know so little of his origins, of his soul, of his relation to the other knights, his relation to King Dedede, but at the same time, we also know just enough for this question to start appearing, that one can't help but be so interested in Meta Knight. He has such an incredible supporting cast with characters like Meta Knights, Captain Ball, and Sailor Lee, so making him the main character will not only be a refresher from the boring Kirby who is always sleeping and doing boring things like fishing and eating, but it will be so easy. Banana hasn't been properly utilized as a character since Superstar Ultra, and how he was included for Galan, and we just write he wasn't in the game at all. Meta Knight is not that guy. What has he even done? He has a dumb ship that always gets destroyed, lost to Dark Meta Knight, lost to Hallmark Wars Company, lost to f***ing Jin John. What has Bro even done since Superstar? Sell the Dark Nebula chest instead of telling Kirby why the chest shouldn't be open? Look where that led him. The Helper was more important than Meta Knight Robot, and don't get me started on Forgotten, he does nothing. Compared to the Chat manga Meta Knight, there is no competition. Meta Knight was so intimidating back in the day, a mysterious figure that had an even more complicated position of an antagonist than the Kirby himself. But nowadays, he's just another silly friend of Kirby. Hopefully in the future we can see the Knights make a true return to form. Dream Buffet is better than any Sakurai Kirby game, and I'm tired of pretending that isn't the case. F Retro Kirby. Bro, honestly, on God, Dream Buffet is kinda epic fiction. He has such immaculate gameplay, some truly outstanding physics system that will make you believe it's a real life. The thrill of making your small little Kirby's eat strawberry has not been much in our society. Compare that experience with those mid-ass games from the Sakurai era, a truly cringe moment. What did those games even do? Not rolling, that's for sure. Like, take a game like Superstar, it has no idea what it wants to do, so it divides itself into multiple short stories, unlike Dream Buffet that has only one masterful overarching story that drives the whole game. And if you want to go to the gameplay side, all the Sakurai games are the same, just walk around, inhale a guy, and move on. In Dream Buffet, every single round is completely different from the last in a very exciting way. Overall, Dream Buffet is just a better game. Shimamura was the best director, IMO. The Dark Matter Trilogy game has such a different energy to the rest of the series with their own refreshing game mechanics that set them apart. They have this very friendly and calm atmosphere with cute cutscenes in between worlds showing you charm of the Kirby universe and how the characters interact with each other. And yet, they also show their dark sides in such specific ways that are straight contrast to the rest of the game. And in the gameplay department, the flow of discovering new abilities and using them for puzzles or exploration has never been more perfected than in the Shimamura game. Things like the animal friends and mixing abilities keep the pacing of the game in an incredible sense, and the collectibles give more value to these levels and your different abilities. Some might think they're annoying or obtuse, but they force you to think outside the box and to constantly replay the levels. so every time you boot up a new game of any Dark Matter Trilogy game, you're more prepared for the challenge ahead. Shimomura was an underrated king in his own way, and it's sad to see him leave. 3D Drum Dash is the best non-platformer spin-off of all. 3D Drum Dash Deluxe might seem like a small eShop game, but this is such a revolutionary title in the franchise in many ways. Not only is this a drastic change in genre going for a rhythm game, but it's also the only Kirby game where the main character is not Kirby, this time being the GOAT himself, King DDD. But going back to the rhythm part, this game is very unique, not only in the Kirby series, but rhythm games in general. Unlike most rhythm games, you don't stand still and press some buttons at the correct time, but instead you play as constantly bouncing DDD and need to time your jumps to the beat of the music, making DDD Drum Dash a platformer rhythm hybrid. Not many other games give you this great amount of freedom in movement in the genre. You haven't really seen this much of a change to the usual formula before Drum Dash. Now we have games like Hi-Fi Rush and Creepo the Necro Dancer, but DDD was their frame one. I'm not saying that DDD Drum Dash Deluxe is so big fiction that brought the rhythm game genre to a new era, but also I'm not saying it didn't. Kirby games should always prioritize being easy, and asking them to be harder goes against what Kirby is meant to be. From the very start, Kirby was always made with everyone in mind, more specifically, beginners. The NES and early Game Boy era was notorious for having some really hard games. Kirby was created to give players a game everyone could enjoy no matter the skill issues they might have. Moving forward to modern day, and that's still the main focus of every Kirby game, is something that made the franchise what it is. That's the reason it stood up then, and it's the reason it stands up today as its own gimmick that makes Kirby games so unique. So when reviewers or outsiders looking in complain that it's too easy, that's just asking for Kirby to completely abandon what Kirby is meant to be. So then HAL makes the post game more challenging, and now we have people complaining that it's too hard. Irony, my beloved. Triple Duck gets hated on for its lack of originality, but I don't really see it myself. Triple Duck has some of the most unique levels in any Kirby game. A haunted circus, forests with rotating spiky trucks, candylands, ancient ruins, giant toy factories, and the list goes on and on and on. All of them are filled with their own unique gimmicks that make the levels stand out on their own. Even if there's not that much cohesion between all the stages, the aesthetics and mechanics of each stage gives them a unique vibe that's both really different between levels and at the same time feel a similar art style. Special shout out to the gorgeous backgrounds. Marx isn't that bad of a guy. Objection! Your Honor, my client may have made the moon and sun fight just to trick Kirby to get infinite power and conquer the universe, but he was just doing a little trolling. Guilty. I tried. Although the community is not ready to face this reality yet, people get attached to their favorite games so much that they end up being not able to take any criticism on them without overreact. This goes for all games, by the way. Okay, to end this hot take madness, I do want to be a little less silly and talk about this one take, because it actually correlates to why I made this video in the first place. Video games, just like any other form of art, is subjective. Every game means a ton of different things to everyone. In some cases, connecting us to some games in a special way that's hard to explain. So it's completely understandable to feel some sort of negative way, like sadness or anger, when someone else attacks that game that's so special to you. But you have to look at the other side of the coin. Just because a game is special to you, it doesn't mean it has to mean the same to others, and trying to force other people into feeling the same way you do is both unhealthy and makes you a hypocrite. Sometimes you gotta take a step back and try to see why these other people think the way they do. It doesn't mean you have to accept their takes, but it may give you a different perspective that you didn't have before. It's also a great way to detect if people are being honest or just f***ing around. But going back to the main point, that's exactly why I did these little experiments. Not only am I tired of the whole bait and outrage that comes with these types of "what hot take will put you into situation" type tweets, but because I want to have the perspective from others, see what my biased clouded eyes cannot see. And even if I was more on the comedic side today, I say it was still a success. But then again, I'm the type of guy that will go on hour-long rants about how much I love a game just to then call it dog the moment I encounter the smallest problem. I live for this kind of stuff. And you know, that's what makes discussion on games so fun for me. So if there's anything to take away from this video, it's to stop being so stubborn with your own takes and take a peek at what other people may think. But in the end, it's all just silly people talking about silly games, and I just think that's pretty neat. But that's what I think. What do you guys think was the best take in here? And what is your personal Kirby hot take? I might not be defending them anymore, but I will be delighted to read them all the same. And while you're down there, why not hit the subscribe button and like buttons for more content like this one. But that's all from me, and I'll see you on the next try.